Willie. Thanks for your time today. The first place to really touch upon is Mikey Lewis. What's the extent of his injury?
Yeah, so we'll know more this afternoon, hopefully this afternoon. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But he's had an MRI scan and now he's got another scan today. So obviously hoping that he hasn't done any damage or any further damage to an injury that he had in the past. He had an operation in the past. So just hoping that he hasn't re-injured that and hopefully it's just aggravated that. So yeah, that's where it's at the moment. We're not going to know until, as I said, this afternoon or tonight or possibly tomorrow.
I think the pictures spoke for themselves on Thursday night. It looks very glum indeed at the time. How's he feeling now in himself regarding the injury?
Yeah, naturally, painful injury like that. Couldn't walk. So it's taken him a few days to obviously, lift his spirits, but he certainly has. I thought initially, to be honest, after more the next day, I thought he was in great spirits for a guy that wasn't sure where he was going to be at in terms of length of time on the sideline. So, real maturity shown there from him. And I think, this injury happened a year or two ago. It's probably a different sort of reaction. It's easy to get down when you get injured and things don't go well and you're not playing. These guys want to play. But, I think it's just another layer to his growth. But we're not going to know the full extent of it, as I said, for at least another sort of 24 hours.
The other man in the halves who would normally accompany him is Tyrone May as the first choice with his hamstring. What's the situation with him?
Yeah, he's going well. So he's responded a lot better than we thought. So we're going to give him till the end of the week and just see how he goes. Or, give him till Wednesday and then see how he goes. He'll have a fitness test and then see where he's at.
You say there about a fitness test, but how delicate do you have to be even if he comes through a fitness test, given if without him and Mikey, you lose two of your key halves, if not your two starting half?
Yeah, we'll look at that if he fails his test, and because it was a minor strain, so he's responded really well to it. And look, if he plays, obviously we've got one of our main playmaker that's playing. If he doesn't pull through, then it gives opportunity to someone else. So, it's at the end of the day, we've got to be ready for both, and we've got a plan for if Tyrone plays, and obviously we'll have a plan if he doesn't play.
I suppose in a strange way, you've got that depth, as you mentioned. It's got to be tested at some point, hasn't it? Yeah,
you don't want to obviously have injuries, but it's all part of the game. It's the unfortunate part of the game for players, and what it does, though, it gives opportunity to others. So for us, it's we played Peta in the halves last week, and he had an opportunity there, and then Jack Broadbeck comes in and gets his opportunity. So it always gives opportunity to other players, and it's really, really important that the players that come in, they grab that opportunity, because it's you always hear players obviously wanting to play, banging your door down to play. So when they get the opportunity to be able to do that, they need to make the most of it.
What was Peta's reaction like when you told him that he was going to have that role that he did against Wakefield?
Yeah, look, Peta's a footy player, he's a rugby player, so he can play any position and he'll go out and do a good job. We just had to have a clear and simple plan for him, and I thought he executed it well. But look, we'll have to just see what we're going to do, where we're going to go this week. But as I said, if he plays at 6, he'll do a job. If he goes back to the centres, he'll do a job as well.
Who's knocking on the door the hardest then for this position? If obviously with Mikey looking like he's going to be out, is anyone knocking on the door harder than they normally would be?
We've got options. That's and that's what we need to decide. It all depends on, as I say, if Tyrone pulls through. If Tyrone plays, then it'll add other options again. If Tyrone doesn't play, then there's all sorts of options that we're looking at the moment. And as I said, mate, we won't know until captain's run, and that's when we'll make our final decision of what we're going to do. Because, as I say, potentially, you get your main playmaker back. Potentially, he won't be there. Mikey won't be there. We know that. So we'll just wait and see.
Moving away from the half predicament that you've got at the minute, I guess we could celebrate Dean Hadley having 200 appearances now in Super League. Just as a player and reaction, also obviously talk about his performances as well, but how mature is he to be where he is now in his career?
Yeah, Dean's a player that every coach and every club wants to have in their team. You know, he's a player that other players want to play with. He's a very popular guy in our team. You know, he's extremely well liked. He's a family man. He's got a lot going for him. But you know, his traits and what he brings is hard work, and he leaves nothing on the field. You know, whether it's a training or whether he's playing, you know, he puts his heart and soul into giving his best, and that's all you ask from a player. So he's a player that, as I say, others love to play with, and we certainly love coaching him.
Was it your idea or a team effort to have him on the big screen at Captain's Run last week, just to obviously congratulate him on his achievement?
Oh, it's something that we do for the players, but I think Dean might have asked that. I think he specifically said, "Can I go on the big screen?" So, yeah, it might have been.
That's the character he is it? He likes to see his own face.
It's not Dean at all, mate. I'm only joking. He's the opposite, so I just thought I'd wind him up.
Bless him. I guess going forward, Tom Davis, 100 tries now. Of your new recruits, is he standing out the most at the moment on the field?
Look, he's doing a great job. I'm happy with all of them. I think they're all finding their feet, and they're all improving it every week. But Tom was exceptional last week. He, in the backfield, carried extremely well, making decisions in defence, and he adds a lot around the place. He's a character. He's got great energy. But I'm really happy with all the recruits and what they bring at the moment. Even the ones that aren't playing, they're certainly bringing something to the group. But I don't want to single anyone out to say he's better than someone else. I think they're all adding something to the group. You know, whether it's Mickey Mack in terms of his leadership and his talk, and similar to Jared in terms of standards and just taking that intensity to that next level. And obviously Rhyse Martin, you know, a goal kicker, but again what he brings at training. So they bring a lot in their own different way. But certainly they're going to keep improving, and I was happy with. I'm happy with the improvement that we're getting from them.
I suppose the reason why I single out Tom Davis, though, is as a winger, you can maybe have that opportunity to be possibly a little bit more stylish and flamboyant in that position. And on top of that, he's having to fill in for a legend of the game in Ryan Hall. It was big shoes to fill so early in the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hawley, you know, we love Hawley, miss Hawley. He's still doing it at Leeds. But what we've brought in is someone extremely similar, you know, in terms of getting us on the front foot, getting us out of trouble, and then, you know, making his tackles, working hard defensively. You know, they're very similar to what Hawley brought us. So, you know, happy with what Tom's doing at the moment. Very happy with what Tom's doing at the moment.
Obviously, points will be added in the disciplinary panels at the start of this week, and Mikey McAlorum is one of those who's in the frame. So too Mikey Lewis, even though there's an injury possibly covering up the damage of possibly getting a suspension. On reflection of what he did during the game for both of them, how do you react?
Yeah, so they already know about Mickey Mack, so that'll come out. You know, so he's you know, he got charged for both, so he's got points, and Mikey Lewis is fine.
Regarding his history, it's not the first rodeo with McAlorum having to have possibly a suspension. Are you, I guess, not concerned, but you've got players around him, haven't they? You can step in. Did you factor that in, maybe, that there might be some suspensions coming his way this season, as there would be with any player, when you've got players like Jez Litten who can step into his position straight away?
Look, yeah, I'll always say that we never want to play outside the rules. And obviously there's times there that, you know, accidents happen, and you're going to get points for that. Look, I think on these two, and I'll talk about these two, obviously situations. One was where we went in, you know, towards the knee, and he's picked up points for that, you know, a point for that. So, you know, it's a warning, which is fine, which is good, you know, because we don't want that. And then the second one was, you know, when I look at it, again, yeah, if it's worth points, it's worth points. I'm not going to dispute that. But I look at Mickey on that occasion, and he didn't go in with the intent to try and, take Mason's head off. He didn't have the intent. You could see by, you know, where he was looking. He wasn't looking at the player. He was looking down. He didn't have his fists clenched. So, you know, again, he's not playing, he's not going in deliberately to take or do something that's not within the rules. He slipped up, so we got to accept that. But I'm not going to go into talking around that. I'll look at case by case, and that's it. That's all I can do. And they've come up with the points for those, and I'm not going to dispute that. So it is what it is.
Well, it's all points actually on the Super League table now. 2 wins from 2. You've shown a lot of grit and determination so far. What would you say is the first thing you would like to see added to your team's game to maybe just put a bit of distance on the scoreboard if you can?
I think it's just executing our opportunities. Like that first game, there was some times I think Joe Burgess, he dropped the ball early on in the game. Potentially you can go out 2 tries, 2 scores in front. And sometimes then scoreboard pressure eventually starts to get to teams. There were some opportunities there that we didn't take, and probably on the weekend as well. So I think it's just executing those opportunities that we get, because we're creating some. But I'm enjoying and liking what we're doing at the moment, because this time of the year it is just about working hard. I mean, every game's about working hard, but it doesn't always have to be pretty. And I think last week was an example of that. I still think it was a quality game, but it was a grinding game, 2 teams going at it, and it was nearly went to golden point again. So, look, our best rugby is going to be down the track. It's obviously not now. We had a shorter pre-season, obviously playing in the grand final, so that brings something different. Different challenges to the side. Naturally, when you do have a little bit of a success and go to the end, then you need to change and plan your off-season, pre-season accordingly, which we did do that. We've still come out and we've still managed to get those wins. But as I said, you're going to see more improvement through the side down the track. But if I had to pinpoint one, it's probably just the execution.
Would you say you're on track in terms of new combinations gelling together? Would you say that they're about where they are in your expectations as a coach?
Oh, it's always different. If, like last weekend, when you have difficult, when you've got your halves going down. So in that sense, again, we'll find out Wednesday of what we go with this week. But when you're changing your halves, then naturally that can hinder your attack. There's I don't know, too many teams that, when you're going into your depth of your halves and you don't have your full, your main halves, naturally your attack's not going to flow as well. What we try and do is have a framework in place that whoever steps in can do the job, and we'll have that again this week. And as I say, if Tyrone does play or doesn't play, we'll still have a plan around how we want to approach Salford. But again, it might not... last week, for an example, when Mikey went off, you got both halves, the normal starting halves that are off. It's going to look a little bit different. So, I just look for what players, what their strengths are, what they're going to bring, and that's what we look for. So, we'll as I said, we'll know a little bit more towards the back end.
You've teed up talking about Salford there. Do you sympathise in any way with their situation? It's taken them a bit of time off the field to seemingly get themselves sorted out.
No, they're playing. I don't need to sympathise or worry about what they're doing. They're back playing again. They've got a full strength team, and they're a good team when they put it together. There's no doubt about that. So they're obviously not going to be happy with their first performance last week, but they're a good side. We know that individuals threats across the whole field. We know what Sneed can do as a half. So look, not going to go into what's happened with Salford or what hasn't happened with Salford. They're back playing again, and Paul Rowley and the team will be just focusing on playing.
Yeah, and that's what he said after the game. He mentioned that they're just happy to be back out there, which is why I asked the question. And looking at the result against Leeds Rhinos, is that another one of the, surprise results of the round so far that the first 2 weekends of Rugby League have conjured up?
I don't really look at it as a surprise. I mean, I look at Leeds as a very good team. Watched Leeds a lot in the pre-season games. They probably weren't at their best against Wakefield, but Wakefield's a very good team. So I look at the competition, and I don't really see surprises anymore, because what makes the NRL so special is anyone can beat anyone on their day. If you're not performing, you're not at your best, potentially you can get beat. in the NRL, and that's where we're heading as a Super League. That's where we're heading. Our competition's heading that way as well. So, I mean, you look at Cass when they played us here. They kicked that goal. They beat us in round one. Wakefield again won round one, and they nearly beat us in round two. Could have gone to Golden Point. Anyone can beat anyone, So Hull FC go and beat Catalans over there. So I think the competition's healthy, and I think there's going to be, if you're going to call it surprises, but I don't look at it like if a team where the sports betting have got them at a lower end beat a team that's odds-on favourites, it can happen, and that's what we want to happen because it means the competition's healthy.
Just finally, Willie, as well, it's Las Vegas for Wigan and Warrington coming up, and on social media it's gone viral what footballer Roy Keane and Micah Richards have said. Do you feel we still need to lean on other sports to help promote our game?
I'm not sure what they've said.
Well, they've been very positive, and Roy Keane said how much he enjoys watching rugby league and how physical battle it is, and Micah Richards has highlighted his love for the Leeds Rhinos. But obviously it's great that we're expanding the game internationally, but as a coach, do you feel like we still need stars from other sports to build it up even further?
Oh, look, I mean, I'm biased. I think we've got the best game in the world. Our product is, if you watch it, you're going to be hooked. Obviously, if it's a good game, if you don't know anything about rugby league, but you come to a game and watch a game of rugby league, especially over here, especially in England, like at Craven Park, and all the stadiums that we've got here, you're gonna enjoy it. I think what they're doing, taking the game to Vegas, obviously Wigan and Warrington representing the Super League is great for the sport, great for our game here. I was involved at the Rabbitohs. Obviously, Russell Crowe's the owner there, very influential man. Obviously, absolute legend in what he does and his area, but he's so passionate about rugby league, and he's helped the game immensely over there. He's helped the Rabbitohs and got that brand all over the world. Everyone, a lot of people might not know about rugby league, but they know the Rabbitohs now. So having someone like Russell Crowe, obviously getting the game out there, getting the Rabbitohs brand out there is huge. And I think if we can have people like Russell helping get our game out to a new audience and our brand out, as a game, then it's a good thing and it's a positive thing. There's no doubt the Super League, like I'm looking forward to watching all the games on the weekend, but I'm sure that, the NRL, I'm hoping that the NRL get even more, our game, that they can see how our game over here, how developed it is. I mean, you only have to look at Wigan. Wigan are the world champions. So the NRL should, have respect for what we do over here in the Super League, and certainly have respect for what Wigan's done because they're the world champions at the moment. So look, we've got an amazing game, and it only helps when people get it out there, and obviously influential, and people like Russell Crowe, who have got a wider audience than just our little rugby league bubble. Getting it out there, it certainly helps.
Sounds like you'd like to be on the plane with your team next year, Willie.
Oh, I mean, if we got asked to go play, and I think it's a great opportunity. Look, I'll be honest, from a coach's point of view, it probably has its negatives. There's no doubt about that. I mean, have a look at what Canberra's going through, at the moment. But in terms of exposing and getting our game and our brand and the whole KR brand out to a wider audience, absolutely, I'd back it. As it's not easy. People think, because we're going to Warrington jumping on a plane, it's they're going to Vegas. But there's a lot of there'll be a lot of planning and a lot of it needs a bit you need to have a really strong culture to be able to stand up to what it brings. Now, I'm not talking about the Raiders incident. I'm just talking about there's a lot of things that can happen in Vegas when you've got 30 guys. And women over there that are playing, there's going to be all sorts of things that go with it. But it's nothing but a positive for me, getting the game out there to the American audience and to the rest of the world. Because as I said, we've got a wonderful product, and the Super League's it's getting, as I say, it's getting better and better. And obviously we'd love to be part of it, but Warrington and Wigan are this year, and I'm sure they'll do us all proud and put in a great performance.
thought for a minute then you was going to say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas for Willie, but they're all my questions. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Willie. How are you?
Good, Will. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Just wanted to ask about Danny Richardson. Obviously, he's come back from his loan. How helpful has that been for him in terms of match fitness and confidence ahead of potentially getting a chance this week?
Yeah, look, I try and get and want to get as many players out, if they're not playing for us, to Super League if they're available. You know, and obviously that became available for Richo round one, which was always going to be a positive for him. You know, playing Super League again. There'll possibly be some others, you know, over the next few weeks if clubs want or need players. Then we'll always look at it. I just think it's, you know, the way it is over here at the moment in terms of our reserves, the setup. You know, Super League, the club's obviously number one option, and then probably Championships your next best after that, and then depending on who you're playing and what other teams are putting in, your reserves after that. So, look, we just wanted to get Richo some game time. Huddersfield, you know, we needed him, and we thought it was a good fit. So, yeah, the more that these players play, the better it is for everyone.
Yeah, and Kershaw's moved to Castleford for a couple of weeks. Tough night for him on Saturday, but valuable in terms of minutes. Yeah,
I thought he had a really good start to the game. I thought, obviously, he dropped that one ball. But in terms of, carrying and putting his hand up, I thought he did a lot of work. You know, he's obviously going to new systems and things like that, so he's got to adapt. But yeah, he wasn't the only one that dropped one on the weekend. There was others that did that as well. But yeah, I thought he was okay. His first performance. He's certainly trained well.
Yeah. Just last one from me. Obviously, Salford have been through the ringer. What do you think their mindset is going to be coming into this one, having obviously got beat at Leeds with a full-strength squad on Saturday?
There's no doubt they'll have a different mindset to what they had on the weekend. You know, because whatever that mindset was, you know, they didn't play to what they can usually play. We know what Salford's capable of. I mean, you look at their team on paper and you know exactly what they can bring. You know, obviously, after the game, I listened to Paul Rowley around. You know, they didn't have the intent. I can't remember exactly what word for word, but I certainly know what they're going to bring this weekend. But again, I only concerned what we can control. You know, we had a really good session today, and then we'll see how we turn up on Wednesday in terms of what we end up going with. But really happy with where we're at the moment in terms of our prep.
Thanks, Willie.
Cheers, Will.
Hi, Willie. Hope you're well.
Hey, Ben. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. I just wanted to ask you about sort of the divide between Super League and the NRL. I think maybe when you first came to KR as a coach, that divide was more evident than now. How do you think it's changed over the last couple of years while you've been here? And obviously, we've had Wigan becoming world champs, Vegas this weekend, stuff like that.
When you say divide, what do you mean by divide?
Just in terms of the pedestal that the NRL is put on, obviously we know it's the top level of our game, but do you think the Super League's managed to cut that a little bit?
Yeah, look, I think overall, I don't think there's ever been, you know, the top sort of teams over here. There's no doubt, like the NRL talk about, you know, they played over there, they'd be competing and certainly, you know, look to be at the top of the table. The difference for me, you know, years ago, a few years back, was the difference between your top sort of 4 to 6 teams here and then your lower teams. For me now, and as I said before, that's certainly changed. Like, anyone can beat anyone on their day. So for me, our competition is very similar. It's heading towards what the NRL is, because the NRL competition is no doubt, like, week to week. It is, yeah, it's tough, it's grinding, it's grueling, and the reason for that, you know, my thoughts are, is because of the depth and that next tier. Because that next tier that aren't playing are playing in the strong cup, whether it be New South Wales Cup or whether it be Queensland Cup. So what we need to do, and I know, you know, we've spoken about it many times, and is get that next tier right. So those guys are playing each week, so they're playing at a high level every week. So, for an example, you know, someone like Lee Kershaw, if Lee doesn't go to Cass, then at the moment Lee's not playing. So then we might have a reserves comp that you're playing every couple of weeks. So how's he then getting better every week and getting that next level. Then he comes to the Super League and it's a really big spike. So over there, the difference is that they're playing at a high level every week. The New South Wales Cup and the Queensland Cup are really, really strong competitions because you've got your best, people that don't make the 17 playing. So to answer your question, we are certainly closing that gap overall because our competition now is, I think, Team 1 can get beat by Team 12. And that's what you want to have, you want to have teams that can beat anyone on their day. So we're certainly closing that gap, and I think you only have to look at Wigan. Wigan's given a lot of credibility to our competition because if anyone says any different, well, they're the current world champions. They won all 4 trophies last year. That's where they sit. There's no argument there.
And I guess from that point of view, clubs like KR becoming among the top dogs in Super League, we've seen Lee and yourselves have a similar sort of pattern of the last few years of progression. We need those teams to keep coming through, don't we, to keep challenging and refreshing those at the top for the guys over in Australia to keep taking note of what's happening. Yeah,
there's no doubt. It's a good point. There's no doubt now that, because of us and Lee, obviously Lee winning the Challenge Cup a couple of years ago, because it was always over there, and it still is, like the top big 4 teams have only won the competition. Well, Bradford when they were in, but it was always the big 4 or whatever it was at the time, where that's changed now. There's no doubt that's changed now. I look at Wakefield. Wakefield they're a very good team. They had a few players out last week, and the players that came in did just as good a job as probably what the players that they've had. So for me, that's really good signs. Anyone can beat anyone, as I said, on their day. The area that we've just got to keep getting right is that next tier. So we're developing those guys so that when they come in, the product doesn't dip too much. Hopefully we get there. But like you say, teams like Lee, certainly growing, and a lot's going on off the field. But I look at a team like Wakefield as well. That's a really strong club from where they were 2 years ago, that's for sure. Obviously, new ownership, and that's the key. Having owners that are invested in growing the club and understand what it takes to be that top club. Like Wigan's done it for years. I was fortunate enough to play for Wigan, understand the culture and how that works. And but as I say, you look at what our investment and our board and the people that we've got, and then over at Wakefield and Lee. It certainly closes that gap, and I'm sure the top teams, the so-called top teams in the past, would agree that the competition's a lot healthier than what it used to be.